What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another video. And today we finished the division predictions. We're now on to the playoffs, and I have the image zoomed in because I'm going to attempt to not spoil anything because I don't want to spoil my predictions. So, kicking this off, I have the AFC South winners, the Houston Texans, at the 4 seed taking on the 5 seed LA Chargers in a rematch of last season. Now, of course, as I said, the Texans, they're a very, very solid team. They have a great defense led by Danielle Hunter and Derek Stingley and Will Anderson Jr. CJ Stroud at the helm. You got Nico Collins. You have two high upside rookies behind Nico. Tank Dell's not going to be there this season, but he's alive. You have a solid enough tight end. Your big concern is your offensive line. That offensive line really hurt them last season. It kind of just made them go from a 13-4 ceiling to a 10-7 ceiling, and the Texans the offense did really suffer. They will be taking on the LA Chargers again. Of course, you got Herbert, you got, you drafted Trey Harris, you got Ladd McConkey, who was a good breakout from last season, you got Omarion Hampton. This is a very, very good team. The defense is solid as well, didn't even point that part out. But I'm going to do something crazy. Instead of the Texans winning this year, I think Herbert is finally going to get it done. I think that Justin Herbert and the Chargers are going to move on to the second round. Now, for the next matchup, you got the Kansas City Chiefs, your AFC West winners, taking on the 6th seed Cincinnati Bengals. Yep, they signed Shamar since the last video was up. So that problem's gone. You still gotta re-sign Trey, but if you can do that, the defense won't be as bad as people are saying it's gonna be. Now, don't get me wrong, it's still gonna be garbage, but it's going to at least be serviceable. You're gonna get some QB pressures. I think that the Bengals are gonna get a deal done eventually with Trey Hendrickson, and I do believe that the Bengals are going to make a playoff push, and I think that they're gonna get a great rivalry matchup with the Kansas City Chiefs, who, of course, led by Patrick Mahomes. You got Chris Jones leading that defense. Kelsey, of course, a little bit more washed now. Rasheed is suspended, of course. The secondary's good. The Chiefs are a very solid team still, but they have an aging Hall of Fame tight end who's not as productive as he used to be. Their number one receiver is literally getting suspended and is going to have to serve jail time. And you know what? I'm gonna do something crazy. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown, and that extremely questionable defense are going to move on to the divisional. Yep, I think that the Bengals are going to upset the Chiefs here, which leads me, to matchup number 3, where will be the 2 seed Ravens against the 7 seed Broncos. Now, of course, Denver might have the best defense in the league, straight up. You added Jahdae Brown to a secondary with Pat Surtain. You have the best offensive line in the league, no doubt about it. Courtland Sutton has been a solid, reliable receiver for his entire career. Bo Nix was a surprising breakout from last year. This is a very, very good team, especially if R.J. Harvey can get that running game going. And with J.K. Dobbins as his number 2, I think that this Broncos team is going to be a lot better than people are leading on to, though I do have them down at the 7th seed. They are going to be taking on the Baltimore Ravens, who, let's just be honest, I think they have the best secondary in the league. You got Marlon Humphrey, Jair Alexander, Xavier Watts, I believe is who they drafted. could be wrong, but I believe it was Xavier Watts. You got Kyle Hamilton. Y'all can fact check me. My brain is a little off. I'm not feeling great. But yeah. Of course you got Lamar and Derrick Henry, that dynamic duo. You got Zay as your wide receiver one. Zay's very solid. Mark Andrews and Isaiah Likely holding it down at tight end. Your questions are, honestly, the most questionable part of this team is probably their kicker, because you have a rookie kicker after you let go that absolute piece of shit Justin Tucker. I think the Ravens are still going to be great, and I have to go with and as much as I love the Broncos this season, I am going to have to go with the Baltimore Ravens. So in the next round, you have the battle of the hardball. I'm just going to zoom out here, because at this point, you know who's advancing. The 1 seed will be the Bills. But we're going to do the Harbaugh brother matchup first, where you got the Ravens and you got the Chargers. Of course, I've given a great breakdown of both teams. Lamar, Derrick Henry, going up against that Chargers defense, which, don't get me wrong, is solid, but I don't think is going to be holding off a Ravens offense led by Lamar and Derrick Henry. If I'm being perfectly honest, I think these rest of the AFC matches going to be a lot shorter, because I already kind of gave breakdowns. I simply put, I think the Ravens are going to take the W and move on to the NFC Championship. I think this is where the Justin Herbert run ends, unfortunately. Which leads me to the second divisional round. Joe Burrow versus Josh Allen in the divisional 2.0. Of course, Joe Burrow did win in 2023. But now it's 2020, well, I guess 6 at this point. Now, here's this game. If this game were to happen in a playoff scenario, the final score would probably accumulate to over 100 total points. Both offenses, this is like Josh Allen versus Joe Burrow would cause an absolute shootout, and we would all be here for it. That being said, I have to give the Bills defense an edge over the Bengals defense, which I think is going to lead me to choose the Buffalo Bills. Now, don't get me wrong, Cincy is a great team going into the season outside of their extremely questionable defense. And unfortunately, that's why I have to end their run here against the Bills. Moving on to the NFC. Sorry, I low-key just leaked it, so hopefully nobody saw that. Well, I mean, I guess you know my predictions now, but we're going to go through this anyway, because I low-key forgot. Okay. So we have the Rams taking on the Commanders. I just have to recheck okay. I'm not going to hold you. I made these predictions a really long time ago. I just, had them ready for when I eventually posted this, so I just had to refresh my memory. I'm terribly sorry. I totally leaked it. I'm still going to give the breakdowns and explain why I think these teams are winning. So you got the Rams taking on the Commanders. Jaden Daniels. I love LSU so much. Jaden Daniels is so good. He's so awesome. He's just the best. Okay, I'm going to stop glazing. Okay. Now, of course, since I made the NFC East video, Terry McLaurin is now on a holdout. So we're hoping that Terry will end up getting paid, and as long as that happens, I stick by the fact that I think that they will be the 5 seed. The Commanders are a very solid team. Their defense might have been a one-hit wonder, but if we're basing it off of last season, their defense was great. They bolstered the offensive line with guys like Laramie Tunsil. Still have a solid RB room, still have a solid wide receiver room. You got Debo. Jaden Daniels, of course, as I said, at the helm, my Lord and Savior. I have to give this win to the Commanders, though I will give the Rams their flowers here. You replaced Cooper Kupp with Devontae Adams. I do like Devontae more than Cooper Kupp, if I'm being honest, so I think that was a good move. Which now Puka's going to have tutelage from both Cooper Kupp and Devontae Adams under his belt. That man's going to go absolutely fire this season. He's going to be wicked. He's going to drop 1,500 yards probably. Matt Stafford is in his mid-30s and he hasn't shown any signs of aging. And honestly, Jared Verse might try and kill Jaden Daniels because he is actually insane. Now, the thing is, the Rams secondary still worries me a lot. And when you have Jaden Daniels, that's probably not a good thing. Which is why I am giving the edge to the Commanders. In the second round, or, well, not in the second round, but the second matchup here, you got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers taking on the Green Bay mother-loving Packers. Tom Grossi shout out right there. Love that guy. Great videos. You should go watch them. Tampa Bay. Okay, so again, as I said in the last video, you have a bit of if your defense is very, very solid, but Levante David is getting older. The secondary definitely has some questions, but that offense is going to be brutally undeniable this year. You got Baker Mayfield, Bucky Irving, Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka. If Godwin's able to return, then Chris Godwin. That team, that great Bucs O-line, this team is going to be offensively nuts. Then we go to the Packers. You got Jordan Love. You drafted a receiver in the first round for the first time in 22 years or something like that. Matthew Golden, I think, is going to be a great receiver and one of the better rookie ones. I think Emeka is going to be the best rookie receiver. But, yeah. Matt Golden, of course, is very solid. You have, who else in there? Jaden Reed, Dontavian Wicks, Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs. A lot of solid receiving options you can go to. You have solid tight ends as well in Musgrave, Tucker Kraft even. Josh Jacobs was electric last season. The defense is even solid, though that cornerback room is even more questionable than the Bucs' corner room. And based on that alone, I think that Baker is, along with Mike Evans, Godwin, Emeka, I think that they are legitimately going to torch the Packers secondary into an oblivion, which leads me to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in this matchup. In the final wildcard round, you got the Detroit Lions taking on the Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Lions, of course, you did lose your coordinators. That has a little bit of concern. That being said, I don't think the Lions are going to miss a step this season. I think the Lions are going to go berserk again, just because that's what they do. You got Gibbs and Montgomery in the backfield still, Sonic and Knuckles back there, Amon-Ra and J-Mo, Jared Goff, Sam Laporta, that elite O-line. Of course, Ragnow did retire, but that O-line is still absolutely elite. That defense is solid. Kirby Joseph broke the hell out. You got Brian Branch, a bunch of guys there. Adonai Mitchell could be good in his year too. Aiden Hutchinson is probably coming back. This team is going to be nuts. I don't care what anybody says. This team is going to be insane. They will be taking on the Atlanta Falcons. And, of course, the Falcons, again, I think that their season will come down to, is Michael Penix the guy? I think Michael Penix is going to be the guy. I think Drake London is going to break out with Michael Penix as his quarterback. We saw the signs at the end of last season. I think that Bijan Robinson is just straight up a freak of nature. He's actually insane. I think that their defense is wild, a great secondary. You bolstered the pass rush with Jalen Walker, with James Pierce Jr. Very solid team. That being said, unfortunately, I have to give the win to the Detroit Lions here. I think the Lions are going to make a big playoff push. So now I can zoom this out. And this is what we're left with in the playoffs. The 1 seed, Philadelphia Eagles, taking on the 5 seed Washington Commanders. And, of course, we already went over the Commanders. Now we have to go over the Eagles. Jalen Hurts is okay, I'm going to say something extremely controversial, and I don't care. Jalen Hurts is a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. Sue me. The statistics might not show up, but this man's playoff success has been elite. Have we seen his Super Bowl games? This man plays like a stud in the Super Bowl, to a point where Saquon was almost a non-factor in the Super Bowl this year. And he was basically carrying them all year. The Eagles are a super team. It's as simple as that. You did lose Josh Sweat on defense. You did lose a couple pieces, but overall that defense is still absolutely nuts. The offense with A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, Saquon, Jalen Hurts, Dallas Goedert. You got Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata on the offensive line. The Eagles are insane, which unfortunately is why I think we're going to see an NFC Championship repeat in the divisional, where the Eagles are going to kick the shit out of the Commanders again, which is really unfortunate, because I am a huge Jane Daniels supporter, but comparing the rosters, I think the Eagles are levels above the Commanders right now. And then the Bucks and Lions. Now this prediction is probably the most controversial one today. Which, I mean, I haven't made too many controversial ones other than the Bengals over the Chiefs, but this is going to be controversial. So again, as I explained, these two offenses are undeniable. The defenses are a little more though I will give a slight edge to the Lions. But in my crazy mind, my heart wants me to pick the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to move on. I don't know what about the Bucs this season are giving me this feeling of this is an NFC Championship made team. Like, of course, you got, again, Evans, Egbuka, Godwin, Bucky Irving, Baker, Mayfield, elite offensive line. I can't put my finger on what about this year's Bucs team is so much different than last year's Bucs team. But I have to do it. I think that the Buccaneers are gonna make it to the NFC Championship to take on the Eagles. So in the NFC Championship, we'll start with that. You got the Buccaneers and the Eagles. And this is honestly probably where the the Buccaneers run is gonna come to an end. Again, as I said about the Eagles roster, I think that they're legitimately ballistic nuts. I think they're insane. And that's kind of what I've been saying about the Bucs as well. I just think that the Eagles kind of outclass them right now, especially with that electric defense compared to the Buccaneers' much more questionable defense. I'd give the edge to the Eagles' offense as well over the Bucs. So, basing it off of that fact, I have to give the win to the Eagles here, which brings me to my NFC Championship, where we see the Baltimore Ravens take on the Buffalo Bills. The one that we all want to see, because we all hate Patrick Mahomes. Fair enough. You got the best quarterback and the second best quarterback. I'm not talking about either one, because honestly, I think that they're basically about the same. I think they're both great, amazing quarterbacks. And here's where it gets sad, because I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, the Bills are going to win this matchup. Josh Allen has more playoff success normally than Lamar. And yes, we did see that last season. That being said, I'm taking the Ravens this year. I think at this bigger stage, where they have both failed multiple times, I think this is going to be another Bills shootout. But, like, when you compare the offenses, you gotta say, the Ravens have more weapons. The Ravens' defense has more assets than the Bills. Unfortunately, this is kind of just where the Bills' run comes to an end, because the Ravens have an extremely solid roster. And this sucks, because I'm a Jets fan and I want to see the Bills win one at this point, because I'm just starting to feel bad. But, like, I think this is where the Bills' run is going to have to come to an end. I think the Ravens are just simply a better roster, and with better coaching, and just like, I think the Ravens are making the Super Bowl this year. Which brings us to the Super Bowl, where, as you can see by the fact that I've circled one of the teams, I have the Eagles repeating the Super Bowl this year. Both teams are very, very good. Both teams are going to deserve to make it here. Honestly, a good, 7 or 8 teams that are in the playoffs would deserve to make it here. Like, even the Chiefs, you could say, could deserve it. Like, a lot of NFC teams, like the Commanders or the Lions or Hell, even the Packers, maybe even the Rams. There are a good amount of teams that can make it here. I just think that it simply comes down to these are the two most undeniable teams in their respective conferences. So we have a bird versus bird Super Bowl where you have to go with the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles are just too good, man. Jalen Hurts performs like a nut job in the Super Bowl. Combine that with Saquon Barkley versus Lamar and Derrick Henry is a very insane matchup. We have seen this before. The Eagles did come out on top, and I do think that they will again. Which means that my final Super Bowl prediction is that the Philadelphia Eagles are going to repeat the Super Bowl this year, defeating the Baltimore Ravens. If you enjoyed, do not forget to like and subscribe. Don't miss any more of my videos. I want to make more of these more like long forms where I talk a lot more. Maybe when I'm not having really bad allergies, that might help, because I just want a 21-minute video of just me yapping about football while also like sniffling a lot, so I'm sorry about that. But I did end up really enjoying this series, and I do kind of want to do more of these. So if there are like certain kinds of videos that y'all want to see from me, let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe to my baseball channel that I recently started posting a bunch of YouTube shorts on. I'm gonna start making some videos closer to the playoffs and like where I can like predict like awards and like actual playoffs, you know, like I have hope for that channel. I have hope for this channel as well. So don't forget to subscribe to both, turn on notifications for both, and have a great rest of y'all's days. Deuces.